Okay, class, starting on section 3.3, slope. Example 1, considering the following diagram. Which ladder is steeper, ladder A or ladder B? The answer is ladder B. And the reason why is it has a greater rate of change. Now we're going to prove that rate of change down here. We have ladder A. It's the vertical distance. We know vertical means up and down, which would be 12 feet, divided by the horizontal distance. Now we're doing ladder A, so ladder A covers all of this here. So that's 6 feet. So we add 12 feet over 6 feet, which will give us 2, because these feet will simplify out. Now we go to ladder B. The vertical distance is still 12 feet. And then the horizontal distance goes from here to here, which is 3 feet. 12 divided by 4, and we simplify out the feet. Now, if you notice here, 4 is larger than 2, so that means that ladder B is steeper. Now, when we're trying to determine steepness of a line, or just steepness in general, whenever we deal with the slope, we use the absolute value of the slope, and we know absolute value means the distance from 0. So whichever one of these have the higher absolute value, that one is the steepest. Because just take a look here. If we would have made this 4 a negative, let's just do this for argument's sake. Let's say that this 4 was a negative. Ladder B would still have a steeper slope than ladder A because the absolute value of -4 is 4 and the absolute value of 2 is 2. So ladder B would still have the higher absolute value. So your answer still would be ladder B. Now we scroll down here. It says example 2. While taking off, airplane A climbs steadily for 2,100 feet or over a horizontal distance of 7,000 feet. Airplane B climbs steadily for 2,850 feet over a horizontal distance of 9,000 feet. Which plane is climbing at a greater incline? Explain. Now we have airplane A. It's the vertical distance over the horizontal distance. The vertical distance is 2,100 feet and the horizontal distance is 7,000 feet. Now when we simplify this, we divide both of these by 700 and that will give you 3 over 10. Now we go to airplane B. We have 2,850 feet over 9,000 feet. Oh, and correcting one thing here, feet was supposed to simplify out. Okay, now these feet will simplify out, but first we would divide both of these by 30, and that will give us 95 over 300, and then we could divide both by 5, and that will give us 19 over 60. Now we had 3/10 for airplane A and 19 over 60 for airplane B. We have to find a common denominator so we could properly compare these. So we know the common denominator of 10 and 60 is 60. So we would take this 3/10 and multiply it by 6 over 6. 3 times 6 is 18, and 10 times 6 is 60. So airplane A slope is 18 over 60. Now airplane B, we have 19 over 60 since this already had a denominator of 60. And we know 19 over 60 is greater than 18 over 60. So our answer is this here. When comparing the slopes of this is supposed to be a comma. Airplane B's absolute value slope, this should be value. Absolute value slope value is larger than airplane A's. So airplane B is climbing at a greater incline. So again, when comparing the slope, airplane B's absolute value slope is larger than airplane A's. So airplane B is climbing at a greater incline. Okay, now we scroll down here to the definition of slope. The slope of the line through the distinct points x1, y1, and x2, y2 is the change in y, which is your rise, over the change in x, which is your run. And this is represented by taking y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. All this means is this here. we know that in every ordered pair we have an x value and a y value, an x value and a y value. All this tells you is take the y value from the second point or second ordered pair minus the y value from the first ordered pair. This is what these 2's and 1's mean. So then this means we would take the x from the second ordered pair and the x from the first ordered pair, and we will subtract. Now, if you notice here, it says that this works where x2 minus x1 is not equal to 0, and we will get to that a little later. So now, it says we use the letter M to represent slope. The M comes from the French verb monter, meaning to rise or to ascend. Now, example 3, find the slope of the line that contains the given points. Now, we have point 1, 3, and 4, 9. Now, we know our formula is M is equal to y sub 2 minus y sub 1 all over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. Now, what we have to do is substitute. Now, we know we're trying to find the y in the second ordered pair, which is 9, minus the y in the first ordered pair, which is 3. And you know, I always put what I substitute in parentheses. Now we go to the x's. We take the x in the second ordered pair, which is 4, minus the x in the first ordered pair, which is 1. Now we take 9 minus 3, which is 6, and 4 minus 1, which is 3. 6 divided by 3 is 2. So our slope is 2. Now we go here to B. Now we have the same formula. The slope is equal to y sub 2 minus y sub 1 all over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. Now we substitute. Y sub 2 is 2 minus y sub 1, which is negative 1, all over. We will have x sub 2, which is 4, minus x sub 1, which is negative 5. Now, we do our subtraction. We will have negative 2, and then minus a negative 1 will give us plus 1, all over 4 minus a negative 5. This 2 is actually supposed to be positive. That was a little glitch here. So it's positive 2 plus positive 1, and this is positive 4 plus 5. Because it's minus a negative 5 becomes plus 5. 2 plus 1 gives us 3. All over 4 plus 5 is 9. Now we know we could divide both of these by 3 over 3. And this would give us 1/3. So our slope is 1/3. Okay, now we scroll down to C here. We have negative 4, 1, and 2, negative 3. So now, we take the same slope formula. I'm not going to write the formula again. If you want to look at it again, you could go back to A and B. But we would take y sub 2, which is negative 3, minus y sub 1, which is 1, all over x sub 2, minus x sub 1. Now we know that this will give us negative 3 plus 1, all over, this will give us 2 plus 4. Because we know minus a negative 4 will give us a plus 4. Negative 3 plus 1 is a negative 2. And 2 plus 4 is 6. Now we could divide both of these by 2. So now we will have negative 2 divided by 2, which is negative 1. all over 6 divided by 2, which is 3. So our final answer here is a negative 1/3. Now we go here to D. Now we do the same thing. Y sub 2 is negative 5 minus y sub 1, which is negative 3, all over. We will have x sub 2 minus x sub 1. And now negative 5 minus a negative 3. We know that will give us negative 5 plus 3 all over negative 2 plus 6. Now, negative 5 plus 3. Negative 5 plus 3, we know would give us a negative 2. All over negative 2 plus 6 is 4. Now we could divide both of these by 2. And this would give us, our slope would be a negative 1 all over 2. So our final answer here would be a negative 1/2. Now we come to example 4. It says find the slope of the line shown below. So what we need to do is just pick 2 points off of this line here. We have 1 point here, which is 0, negative 1. And we have another line, another point which is 6, 3. Now you could pick any 2 points off this line, and it should give you the same slope. So our slope, we will have y2, which is 3, minus y1, which is negative 1, all over x2, which is 6, minus x1, which is 0. So we will have our slope as 3 plus 1 over 6 minus 0, which is 6. So 3 plus 1 we know is 4, and that's 4 over 6. Now we could divide both of these values by 2, and we will have our slope is equal to 2/3. Now this is one way of doing it. Now another way of doing it is called the rise over run. So what we could do is we could pick a point. Let's go and pick those points that we picked. So we start here at 0, 1. Now we go up. We got 1, 2, 3, and then we have 4. Okay, now we want to go to our 6, 3. So we need to go up 4. So we would stop here. So that's 4, and then we will go across 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's what happens. We go up here, from here to here is 4, and then from here to here is 6. So this is 4, and this is 6. Our rise is 4, and our run is 6. So we could have wrote our slope as 4 over 6, and then we could have just divided the numerator and denominator by 2, and that would have given us 2/3. Our slope still would have been 2/3. Now that is another way of doing it. Either way is acceptable. However, you won't be able to do this method always with the rise over run, because you need some exact measures to do it. So now it says, what is the slope of a vertical line? Now remember, a vertical line goes straight up and down. Now whenever you deal with a vertical line, I'm just going to draw a quick representation here. Just a little sketch. So we drew a vertical line here. That means your x values will always be the same no matter what your y values are. So your slope is undefined. Now,